Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Occult Priestesses live stream on Rockfin. And tonight we are talking about hypnosis and mind control. Thank you, Mr. Bowie, for your service. We appreciate you. And of course, this is Harpocrates, and that is the silence position. So you're here with me tonight because you actually participate in Rockfin. And so I did want to make the crowd premium and just see who's out there and see who I'm talking to. And so I hope that you do chat along tonight with us as we explore this very dark topic. So, hypno mind control for Major Toms. I invited Nick Duchesne here this evening because we will be talking about one of his favorites, and that is Orson Welles. So, Mark calling Orson. Come in, Orson. Hypnos is the god of sleep in the Greek. The word hypnosis comes from hypnos. Art tells the story of history. And I'm going to try to do something fancy here and show you Fuseli. So Fuseli was an artist who, his most famous painting, in my opinion, is The Nightmare. Well, you will see a woman strewn out on a bed in white, looking pale as a ghost. And right on her chest, it looks like some kind of gargoyle. And that right there, that's the nightmare. That's sleep paralysis, or old hag, as we call it. And I happen to know that Fuseli actually ate rotten food, especially meat, before sleep sometimes so that he would get visions and be able to do art. Well, you see here, it's Sleep in Death carrying away Sarpedon by Lycia. And that's by Henry Fuseli, who also did The Nightmare. So I wanted to show you a little bit of art history because I've found personally, I learn best through art. And I love like shows like Grand Theft World because, I could should say so many Rockfin shows, Jason Burmis, Last American Vagabond, Whitney Webb, Addie Ads. I mean, I could go on. But where I really find my own specific truth on my own is through the visuals of art. And so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you look up the piece at some time or also look up the artist. But I'm not going to deep dive into the end of the pool tonight, right? Telling you all about the history and everything. I find people are far more entertained and entrained and sometimes educated through modern pop culture media. Tonight, we will discover just how much hypnotism and mind control play a part in both government operations and secret societies. Our first clip is from a film called Black Magic, starring the well-known PSYOP master of War of the Worlds, Orson Welles. A name much like H.G. Wells and the hot vril chick, that's V-R-I-L, vril chick, Maria Orsic. In Black Magic, Orson Welles plays a gypsy, a word that is slang for Egyptian. We're also going to meet Mesmer. So Mesmer is where we get the word mesmerize from. So I think it's Franz Anton Mesmer. I think that's his full name. And then we'll be going into the Look Into My Eyes segment, which I would like to call, and thank Jason Burmis for helping me name this. That's called Dracula and the Predator class, because I'm trying to show everyone that this darkness has always this darkness has always been here, but it takes different forms, just like the clown from It. It just takes different forms. So, and then we're going to round out the first hour with swinging 60s mind control in television. And that was really interesting to put together for you. And in the second hour, we are going to get deep, and we're going to go to Freeman Fly, Freeman of FreemanTV.com. And we're going to see one of his vintage interviews where he's actually interviewed by someone else, and he's showing evidence and just blowing our minds. So I can't wait for that part. I'm going to hang out here in my little box, and I'm going to be watching the chat. And I also want to change my glasses since I can't see very well. Good evening, my friends. Happy Catcher Day. I hope you are all well. And if you're not, email me. Okay. Thank you for liking and sharing, Yona. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here too. Okay. Is that better? Oh, I feel like I lost a bunch of weight. I guess that's what she channeled. It's like getting the mind control glasses off my face. It's like a relief. I bet that's how a lot of people who wore masks feel these days. But actually, I had my first delivery, maskless delivery in Los Angeles, California this week, first in 2 years. And I was complimenting the lady's smile and telling her how beautiful she was and how I was so happy I could see her face. And she said she felt naked without it. And that caused me a worry. I was like, wow. Okay, God, we're still in this one. Geez, it's definitely not over. So I think it's just highlighting the psychological trauma-based mind control of being born in this world. All right. So we've all got at least a touch of it. And I hope you find some things tonight that you resonate with and that educate you and send you on a journey of self-discovery so that you can break through your subconscious and no longer be able to be programmed by the predator class.
Hypnosis is as old as humanity. Did you know that in ancient Egypt they practiced hypnosis in sleeping temples?
My name is John Melton, and this is Hypnosis in History. Hypnosis as we know it today had its origins in the unique medical practices of Dr. Franz Anton Mesmer, a physician who lived in Vienna, Austria during the mid-18th century. Mesmer was a fervent believer in the more esoteric aspects of Western medical tradition, including the influence of astrology and magnets on human health. In 1774, during...
They poisoned her!
Mother! I feel that woman drank lamp fluid by mistake. Took her out, I was quick. You're the only one that can do it.
Mother, something's going on.
Listen.
The pain! Oh,
Listen to me.
I'm scared.
You have nothing to fear, nothing to fear. You drank too much of the elixir in one dose. It's very powerful but harmless. The pain you feel is going to last only a moment or two. Already you can feel it going. You can feel the pain going. Tell me you can feel the pain leaving. It's gone. You see, I told you I had nothing to fear. The pain you felt is gone completely. There, ladies and gentlemen, you can see she's perfectly all right.
What kind of hocus pocus was that?
I don't quite know. But it's very interesting, hocus pocus.
Hey, here they are.
I'm a doctor of the Viennese Faculty of Medicine. My name is Franz Anton Mesmer.
I don't need a doctor.
Joseph Balsamo had captured the interest of Dr. Mesmer, who was striving in vain for the scientific recognition of his great discovery, the curative powers of hypnotism.
Joseph, without knowing it, for years, you have been practicing hypnotism.
Hypnotism?
Yes.
I never even heard of the word.
Very few have.
Hello, guys. So I'm catching up with the chat. There's been some interesting comments, and I wanted to share them. So Nick Duchesne just watched the movie Black Magic in full today. I must say Orson Welles has indeed never looked quite as dashing, or for that matter, dark and mysterious. If only I were female or gay. Oi. And then he also adds, Nick Duchesne adds, because he's a writer, guys, the movie itself is as fascinating for both its production as well as its source material by Alexander Dumas. So if you guys want to look that up for the source material, as well as its connection to the necklace affair of Marie Antoinette and the French crown. Wow, I must admit I have not watched this full film. I'm sorry, and I have to now. Oh my goodness, I totally have to. Okay, as usual, Orson Ghost directed much of his own scenes and performance. Wow, I love that, Nick. I love trivia and facts. And James M. is back with us. Hey, James, how you doing tonight? The curative powers of hypnotism. Yes, that's right. You're getting very sleepy.
Flock in their thousands to meet him, to speak with him, to touch the hem of his cloak as he passed. Soon his name had become a byword as he traveled through the great cities of Europe. The magnificent charlatan, playing on hysterical faith and emotional instability, taking full advantage of his little-known gift of hypnotism to sell himself as a god.
I want you guys to look closely at his cloak, and you will see the Saturn symbol. And of course, over his head is the solar disk.
They cheer you or lash you to death. It's the same emotion.
Sometimes I feel we are walking across the world on a tightrope.
Don't worry. I won't fall off. I know how to keep my balance.
And the word I said in the beginning in our intro, the word gypsy actually came from people escaping out of Egypt. And they were, that was their slang term to say thief. You're right, James, like thief or, you know, dirty gypsy and all that. And being a Native American, I've heard a lot of that type of talk towards Native Americans. I mean, Yona could back me up on that. So to demonize people who came out of Egypt with magic, hello, that was probably us. That's what I think. So we're going into this. I believe this is from a Laurel and Hardy film, but it is Dracula. And I thought it was really an intense scene. So I thought I would add it for you this evening.
Stevens is asking too many questions. And Wilbur was up to something in the basement. I think we ought to wait.
And jeopardize the success of the operation? Never. I must warn you, my dear Sandra. I am accustomed to having my orders obeyed. Especially by women with a price on their heads.
Don't try to scare me, Count Dracula. Here, The Secrets of Life and Death by Dr. Frankenstein. Memorize them. Operate yourself if you're in such a hurry.
I have other ways of securing your cooperation.
You're wasting your time. My will is as strong as yours.
Are you sure? Look into my eyes. Look. Deeper. Tell me what you see.
And so I wanted to add just a little smidge of reality. Don't worry, we won't stay here very long. And I hope you learned something.
When you're going to do this in your clinic, don't say to somebody, I'm going to try some new weird mesmeric technique on you, or can I? What's the most common thing that a person expects a hypnotist to do? Be successful. Okay, I'll rephrase the question. What is the most common action that the general public expect hypnotists to do to hypnotize them? Thank you, Varun. Look into my eyes.
Alice.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
Alice, you're gonna be whipped. Whipped, you hear me? Whipped.
No.
Whipped, you hear me?
Go play in traffic.
What time should I pick you up on Saturday?
Pick me up at 8.
We'll go see a horror movie and you'll buy me popcorn.
Horror movie and popcorn. Yes.
Now, get to class.
Pops.
Simulated daylight, available 24 hours a day. Think you can practice here?
It's fantastic.
Carmilla, you already know it takes hard work to be a champion. But it also takes dedication, single-mindedness, and sacrifice to reach the zenith. You must forget everything and everyone and think only of your game. Are you ready to do that?
I'm ready.
Say you'll trust and obey me.
I do. I will.
Say you'll not rest until you are the best in the world.
I won't rest.
We'll surprise them at the US Open, won't we, my dear? They invited us to play, but we'll play to win.
To win.
Con ipnosi. Sempre più casi di furti attraverso l'ipnosi si registrano in tutto il mondo.
Und der Plan ist aufgegangen.
Come potete vedere nel filmato, il malvivente con strani gesti riesce a convincere la cassiera a farsi dare l'incasso. Il tutto avviene con estrema facilità e sotto gli occhi di tutti. Ma come può avvenire tutto questo? Lo abbiamo domandato ad un esperto. Siamo in collegamento col dottor Marco Parrett, direttore della scuola di ipnosi. Buonasera, dottor Parrett.
Buonasera.
Come può accadere che una ragazza di un supermercato sia ipnotizzata e dia via i soldi così facilmente?
Il tutto è ottenuto grazie allo sguardo e la persona entra in uno stato di coscienza passiva, quindi ad un certo punto non capisce più e praticamente la sua mente va come in uno stato di off.
So analgesia, I believe that's how you say it, for those who don't know, is hypnotism so that the person, the subject, does not feel any pain. And it's been rumored since ancient times that they used hypnotism for ancient surgery. So I've read that a lot of places, and I don't like literally remember that, but I read it. So also, we've got some chatting going on over here, and I'll bring myself up. Okay, hi, hello. So James and Nick are chatting. I've got two different mice, so it's a little fun to toggle between them. And Nick adds, I think I've only ever seen one example of genuine hypnotism, and it was on a memory regression tape about a woman who returned to her life in utero and spoke of family truths that could only have been known had she been there to listen, though it may have been something else. And then James, if someone tried that stuff on me as a willing participant, I'd just be like, dude, you're nuts. Okay. And you sound pretty healthy there, James. And so we're going to go get back into the mind control with sexy women. All right. You ready for the sexy chicks?
Are you all right? Would you like to go in?
getting very tired. Would you like to go in? Your eyes are heavy.
This is what I call girl on girl crime.
Eve, I feel so silly. I saw a little kitten up here that couldn't get down. So I climbed up. Now it's gone, and I don't seem able to get down myself. If you could just stretch up your hand. That's it. And I'll steady myself. Thank you. You look tired, Eve. You ought to rest. You're weary.
Beware of women wearing high fashion.
Come with me and take your ease at Temple House a while. Come with me.
May I call her?
The power of Christ compelled her.
There are no thoughts in your mind, no fears. Trust me. I can help you. Don't think of anything. Forget. There is nothing to remember. Just close your eyes and forget. Forget. Can you hear me, Anne?
Yes.
You can hear only my voice. All of the sounds have faded away. You will hear only my voice until I wake you up.
Yes.
Then come back and sit down.
Come in. Hello again. So I believe that this came from Charlie's Angels. So if you guys are around my age, then you may have even seen this one. I remember it because it marked me. When I saw it while I was gathering clips, I was like, oh my gosh, that's that thing. So this might trigger you. You might have a memory. And I found it extremely interesting, especially like all the detail. I found it quite detailed.
She must have had training in hypnotic resistance. But it's all right, she's deeper now. Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Now, your hands are very cold, and the flame is like ice. I want you to take your right hand and hold it over that flame. You will not be hurt, as long as you look at the flame and do as I say. Ever deeper now. You're beyond time, beyond pain, beyond memory. Now, Julie, tell me, why did you come here?
I work for Charles Townsend and Associates. I was sent here to find out about Francine Miller.
Well, that cuts it. Townsend is the slickest detective agency on the coast. She's big trouble, John.
She's big trouble, John. Oh my gosh. So it's hilarious that in the chat, you all confessed you're younger than me. So I'm the oldest one here, apparently. Unless the lurkers, are you older than me? I turned 48 this year, back in February. And if you'd like to see my birthday live stream, just check it out on Rockfin. I also had a great interview. Well, an interview with a great guy, Jason Burmis. I had a lot of fun with that one. So we're going to get into obviously some more clips here, just showing you the mind control that is going on. And it is my point with this session with y'all to point out how prevalent mind control has been in our pop culture and media, and to get you to think and meditate upon why that is and why we are where we are today. And if this could have had something to do with it. I can't have Mila Jovovich on the screen and not say something about Mila Jovovich. So she's an awesome, hot Vril chick. That's V-R-I-L, Vril chick. You can see how she's dressed here in this scene. If you take a look at her belt, it reminded me of the symbol for Vril. If you've never heard of Vril, V-R-I-L, I have a wonderful blog on Occultist in the Corner entitled Hot Vril Chicks from Outer Space. And I do definitely suggest that you go there and look at that. Somebody who's done a lot of work on Vril that Andrew Yeater reminded me about is Robert Stepford, right? And he is on YouTube and Twitter. So I'd like for you to see this woman and understand this woman and understand that she is part of a regime and not just some hot, sexy fashion model.
What kind of spa is this?
It's designed for deep, deep relaxation. Come, let's get you loosened up.
I want you to relax and breathe deeply. Breathe deeply.
I like this song.
Of course you do.
Hello, Derek.
Hello.
Welcome to your relaxation time. Let this wonderful 80s classic soothe you. Just a nice, warm, happy time. Happy, happy, happy. Do as you've been trained to do and kill the Malaysian Prime Minister! Ah! Karate chop! Bad man! Awful man! In your little blue suit and your spiky black hair. Yeah! You're a super hot ninja machine!
Okay, let me introduce this clip. We are in Stepford. We are at the Men's Private Lodge, Masons, secret societies. And one of the wives has just found a facsimile of her bedroom in the lodge upstairs. Isn't that spooky? So we're going to get into it.
God.
That scene had to be cut short because you can see right through her nightgown completely. So that's the Stepford wives, gentlemen. And some ladies, in fact. And this that we're about to show you is Revenge of the Stepford Wives. And that's where they get into the mind control. I found this more revealing than the original film as far as facts go. And of course, we have the new classic with Nicole Kidman, The Stepford Wives, which you will also find the cover of that DVD or whatever is Harpo Crates. You'll see her as a Stepford wife doing the Harpo Crate symbol, just like David Bowie was at the beginning of our stream.
Show me what?
It's a promotional thing I've been working on for when we go global.
We need more cowbell.
I don't think you've seen this.
Welcome to the future.
It's a painting again.
I should explain. You see, my real name isn't Mike. It's just a nickname from where I used to work.
Where?
Microsoft.
NASA.
Disney.
AOL.
Is that why the women are so slow?
Is that why the women are so slow? So you can't stop Stepford. Did you hear the pedigrees of the men in that room? And is that the mindset of men that come out of those schools and workhouses? Is my calling them workhouses? Yes. Okay, and now we're on to one of my favorite parts for this evening. I totally stole this, so don't be too impressed, but it's the swingin' 60s Pervy Hypno Spies in Media. And so this is supposed to finish out the first hour, but we're at 7:11 now in Los Angeles. So I went a little over time. I'm sure you don't mind.
My dear Emma. A trifle late, but you're forgiven. And wearing my gift, I see. Thank you.
So this scene really freaked me out because during Kundalini visions, before I came to Los Angeles, I had visions that many of the celebrity females out here were controlled just like this, like remote control, robot women, and not physically robots, but through hypnosis and through these types of things, and maybe a chip as well. They could be activated to assassinate or do whatever, and then be on a set later that day, and no one would be the wiser when you have a face like that. It's very interesting, and I've even seen some rumors, like real life rumors, of Taylor Swift being a spy. So it's just interesting, and it's food for thought.
Like Mata Hari.
Good. Where'd you find it?
Miss Partridge is safe. She gave me the combination last year when she went to a teacher's conference in England. I hope you're wrong about this.
Okay, we'll find out in just a minute. All right.
Relax, don't do it.
I want you to tell me
when
what
you
you
wanna
want me
go
to do.
it.
Come on, snap out of it. Come on. All right?
What happened?
Just as I suspected. It's very clever. You take a tune that everybody knows and give it a music box arrangement. And you take it from there.
I still can't believe that Miss Partridge could have anything to do with this.
Don't do it when you wanna go to it.
It's very good. You're a good girl, Mickey. A very good girl.
Good girl.
Do you remember the papers in your father's safe, my dear? The ones you took out and memorized?
Yes.
I want you to recite them to me. Do you think you could do that?
Yes.
All right. You can start now, Mickey.
Matsu 5. Top Secret. Part 1. This project is based on the data accumulated during my research on the effects of gamma radiation.
And so I would like to just put in a note here. If you'd like to go to my blog, The Occultist in the Corner on WordPress, and look up somnambulism or H.P. Blavatsky. Just look up Blavatsky. That's what I do when I'm searching for it, Blavatsky. And you will find in my work and also from the work of the Dark Journalist, he's on YouTube, Dark Journalist, that Blavatsky helped to train 9-year-old little girls to become somnambulists, to basically go out of their body, go astral, and become spies, I believe, for the Reich, but always for the bad side, because you don't do anything like that to children ever. It's an abomination to their soul. And so I just wanted you to know that that was the original place that I had heard of this phenomenon as far, back as the tricksters go. So I definitely am telling you, Helena Blavatsky did that to children. And now I believe we're going to get into some more serious stuff. And that takes us into the second part of the show. It's like an intro to the second part of the show from the last part of the show. And they'll take us into Freeman Fly territory. That's freemantv.com. And the man's name is Freeman Fly. And of course, you can find me and all of the links to all of my work at occultpriestess.com. But I want you all to brace yourself, because we're getting into serious stuff now, into the reality of Hollywood. And then we're going to go beyond that into the Freeman Fly archives of knowledge together. So brace yourselves. Trigger warning.
Mr. Torres, I much prefer discussing what I...
In your study of the mind's effect upon behavior, you must have touched on regression.
Yes.
Can you define regression?
Well, it is a reversion to simpler patterns of character behavior, childhood.
Not an unpleasant thing, in one sense. Childhood is the most fortunate and happy of all times.
A most pathetic thing to witness regression.
Everything is fun now, Miss Gilbert. Come, laugh. Laugh. Laugh, Miss Gilbert.
Anna, look at me. Riley thinks you've absolutely lost your mind.
Huh?
Riley thinks you've lost your mind.
I didn't lose my mind.
She thinks you have.
I didn't.
Is this a mushroom trip?
Huh?
Is this a mushroom trip?
Huh?
Is this a mushroom trip?
Huh?
Is this a mushroom trip?
What do you mean?
I'm kidding.
The tape. Inadmissible evidence. It's not allowed in the courtroom. Has no basis whatsoever. Nobody to back it up. Nobody to say it's legit. And why is it being shown? Very curious. They constantly say that she is impaired. I tell you that what you're looking at there is an alter, which is what happens when you use trauma-based mind control. You split the mentality of these people into fractures, like a mirror. And each personality doesn't know the other personality. And what we see in this tape, and we're going to look at one more time, is Anna as a 4-year-old child. You'll notice that she doesn't have any idea of what Howard K. Stern is talking about when he asks her about the mushroom trip. She has no idea what he's talking about when he says this footage will be worth money. And I can tell you straight up right now that this is a 4-year-old girl mentality that you're looking at, and this is her original alter that we're going to witness.
I'm gonna go in the nursery and look, okay? Hold her head up. It's crying. Get her binky, it's crying. There's one in here, Anna. It's fake. I need the camera. Did you put powder in her diaper? Oh, really? Did you put powder in? No. I couldn't find it.
Who's going to think of mind control, you know? Those people in the news, they're not going to say, well, this looks like a 4-year-old alter to me. No, they're going to immediately say that she's on drugs. Her mother continually throughout the court case said, oh, I was trying to get Anna away from the wrong crowd and that she was getting into drugs. And she repeated that continuously like a mantra on every news show in the courtroom over and over again. She said, Anna was on drugs. Anna was on drugs. Well, I'll tell you right now, and I have it linked on the website, that there were no drugs found in her system. There was no sign of drug abuse at all in the autopsy. So take it as you will.
And indeed, there we are. And that's just the part of the rabbit hole it's really hard to go into, right, guys? That's really intense. I have actually been in altered states of consciousness through being very psychic and being above myself and actually inhabiting the higher consciousness of myself. And when you're in that state as a mystic, all kinds of things can come through. When we can bridge heaven and earth, that's something that they really don't want us to do because, well, I tattletale. Hey, Zeus, did you hear about Klaus Schwab? Yeah, he's a big joke up here on Olympus, you know, so that's where I play. That's how I have fun with this horrible, terrible information and my own horrible, terrible experiences. So I just wanted to share a little bit that we're not voyeuring at Anna's pain. We're accepting it and trying to understand it, right? I think that's important. So we're going to get into this amazing interview that Mr. Freeman Fly did I think it says 2007, but it tells you everything. All the information is here. And you're going to go down the rabbit hole, my friends. Freeman's going to take your head and dunk it under the water, and he will not let you up until you understand. And I love that. That's how I feel. Like, it's like, okay, watch, pay attention, because by the end of this, you're going to be light years ahead of yourself where you were when you began the video. So I hope that's a good introduction. And please visit Freeman at freemantv.com. Please visit me at occultpriestess.com or follow me on Twitter. You know, if you could get some street cred there, then you're doing really well. So please follow me on Twitter at Occult Priestess. We've made it very simple for you. Everything's Occult Priestess. And so I just want to thank the guys in the chat for hanging out. And it looks like we have 15 watching. Thank you. Lurkers are very welcome here. I just want to make sure you're not bots. Can we make sure you're not bots? Because that's awesome. So just say hi. If you've never said hi before, Red Rum. If you've never said hi before, please say hi tonight or when you're watching this, obviously, because for a few days, Rockfin keeps the chat and I go back and I look and I watch. And so it's fun. It's amazing. So 16, I'm not a stinking bot. Hi, OP. Oh, thank you so much. We're so glad you're not a ghosty, shadowy bot. And I like watching for the comments of Death to Tyrants in the other chats. And that's how I think they met me. They know me is through the chat rooms here on Rockfin, because it's all about community. And I'll just say a little secret to prove to you I'm totally into community. So there's this guy, David Knight, right? David Knight has a show, and he's been a radio broadcaster and all kinds of things. He used to run video stores, but he worked for Alex Jones for many years. And I do not remember seeing David Knight on Alex Jones. But when Alex Jones fired David Knight, I had been hanging out. I think this was around the insurrection and all these things going on in Washington when Alex Jones and David Knight were arguing about Trump and the Trump shot, which is what David Knight calls it. I became a huge David Knight fan like overnight when he got his own show, when he got away from Alex. So I don't know what that was, some kind of magic. And now, so I was watching his show all the time, and I'm like, man, I wish this was on Rockfin, because I'm always at Rockfin, but I have to put Rockfin down and go play this other game over here, David Knight. I was like, this sucks. And so I tweeted at David Knight in public and said, please come onto the Rockfin platform. And I saw that Jaime from Rockfin, an official Rockfin gentleman who is a big guy here, he had liked the tweet. And then I got an email, not like a week later, 2 weeks later, something like that, that David Knight would be making up a brand new show for Rockfin, and he would be here for me to watch. So yay. Oh my goodness. I also did that with Dabu 7, of course, and Freeman Fly. And so I just want you to know I'm in it to win it for all of us. I believe in a loving group consciousness of heart-centered mindfulness. And this is the way we take care of one, ourselves, and one another, each other. Not in a communistic kind of powerful, crazy way, manipulative vampires that we've all seen all night long, right? It's kind of like Clockwork Orange. I'm Clockwork Oranging you guys and welcoming you to the Twilight Zone. For without further delay, the magician, the maestro, the master, Mr. Freeman Fly, my mentor.
Hello, Austin. I'd like to thank you for allowing us into your homes for this 6th edition of Season 5 of Esoteric Science Roundtable. I'd like to thank Freeman for coming down to share some information that he's been researching about trauma-based mind control and its...
I want you to know I scoured the internet for the perfect copy of this, but then I realized I have a whole terabyte hard drive of Freeman Fly. all of his work. And so I went into that archive and I found this one. And also, I'd like you to know that Freeman has announced he will be selling that archive through his website. And his members are going to get a crazy discount. And it was such a relief that I had this and it was the best copy out there. And I didn't have to scour the internet in this broken ass situation to try to find this interview. So you might think about getting that terabyte hard drive from Freeman Fly, freemantv.com.
Yes, it's very important that we get this out. This is such a strange thing, and it's happening to all of us. And really what happened was a bunch of serendipitous events led me to the knowledge that I bring forth now. I was sitting back watching a movie called The Butterfly Effect. And this movie stars Ashton Kutcher, and it's a recipe for trauma-based mind control. The very movie, produced by New Line Cinemas, AOL Time Warner, could have been written straight from Fritz Springmeier's Illuminati, How to Make Your Own Undetectable Mind Control Slave. Because the plot in the movie lines up with his genealogy, and this allows him to be better used by this higher order, which we'll get into the Freemason connection into this. But it's his very genealogy, and then as he is used, what they do to create what we're going to talk about, the mind control slave. Her mother was a police officer, and you're going to find that these Satanists are constantly are police officers, lawyers, judges, people that you don't expect.
Child Protective Services.
Child Protective Services.
Absolutely.
Walt
District
Disney,
Attorney.
People that you don't think. Hillary Clinton. No, all right, I'm pushing it. But I do think that. When Anna Nicole was raised, she was then brought to this old man that was an oil tycoon and a Nazi, and he was to die the very next year. And they married her to this J. Marshall, and he was then to give her all his money. Well, this money, I will tell you right now, wasn't set up for Anna Nicole, but was later set up for the child, as we'll get to Daniel Lynn. Anna Nicole was then, after she was given this marriage, then she was taken by Howard K. Stern. He became her handler. He was the lawyer that slept on her couch, the lawyer that never left. He was always by her side, and with every video clip you see of her, he's holding her arm. He's the man in the camera, running the camera in the clip we're going to watch. What we see is that in these rituals, they actually sacrifice their firstborn son. When Daniel Lynn was born, 3 days later, Daniel, the 20-year-old son, was flown to the Bahamas. And in the hospital room with Howard K. Stern and the baby, he dropped dead. Okay, this was the sacrifice of the firstborn. The curious note is that the doctor, the pathologist that said it was methadone, Lexapro, and Ambien, is none other than Cyril White, who was the very same pathologist who worked on Joan Benet Ramsey's autopsy. So what I'm really wanting to hope to express to people, one is compassion, love of your fellow man, and that the fact that civilization itself is actually crafted by these evil beings, and that what we're doing as humans on planet Earth really isn't what we should be doing, because we don't know any better. We've grown up in captivity. We've always, or at least especially now, are fully under control of these people. When you see things like the TV show Heroes, it's actually a form of trauma-based mind control as well. What we are getting is our blooding. And what you'll find is that many of what we call serial killers are actually covers for fall guys for these satanic groups. And of course they all had Mickey Mouse courtrooms, and you can find out more about that in Program to Kill. All of these books are at Brave New Books as well. We are getting our own blooding through TV shows like Heroes. And I had my roommate sit next to me watching as I was watching Heroes, and of course I see rape and I see death and murder, but we're all so desensitized that we hardly even feel it anymore. Blooding. So now we get our blooding through TV shows like Heroes. And when you look at the end of credits on Heroes and the symbol is a reptilian eye and the name of the company is Endemol, you start to see the picture. Well, I'm watching Bravo and I see a Dan and Nicole special and I want to see what they're leaving out of the picture because they definitely left, that's what it's all for, is to leave out the critical information. It was produced by the very same company, Endemol, with their reptilian eye.
Pretty prolific there these days, I think.
It's astounding. I mean, I turned on the X-Files and it was the satanic ritual abuse episode. It's like God is trying to beat this into my brain and make sure that I see it all.
Well,
did you hear that? It's like God is trying to beat this into my brain so that I see it all. I can see the plan, the providence here of the divine ones, actually traumatizing Freeman Fly to get him to understand what's going on as a son of a Mason and a Nazi youth mother, to bring this to his generation and to educate those who are ready to hear it. But now we don't have a choice. Everyone must hear this. Please share this wide with your social network, with your friends, with those you care about. And if you like, just tell them to skip to the second hour where they can get straight to Freeman. This is very important information and it's divine providence.
And also it's interesting that these pop icons are propped up, you know, to be part of this whole ritual enactment oftentimes, and that and I think that's an interesting point to make as well. Oftentimes the ones that we see groomed, I think they are part of this bloodline, that they're tied into this. But then we often hear about the CIA running around playgrounds and amusement parks, or, you know, maybe, I don't know if the CIA per se specifically, but these dark-suited guys in these vans, and they're running around and they're grabbing kids and throwing them in vans. These kids aren't bloodline per se, but they're also being part of this trauma-based mind control program. So it happens at different levels. It has a lot of facets.
And so I'd like to bring up a personal facet. Growing up, my grandmother told me, and obviously the rest of the family and everybody knew this, it was just something that we knew, that we were told the story, that my grandmother is the sister of Senator and astronaut John Glenn. And that's why I named this Mind Control to Major Tom, because he was a Major Tom. The reason why it was somewhat of a secret that we were related is because Grandma was ashamed that during the Depression, her parents took her to an orphanage with her brother. And this was not explicitly told to me, but I, as a psychic, understood there was money exchanged hands, and John Glenn went to go live with his family of well-to-do people. And Grandma went back to Daisy, her mother, Daisy Dill, in fact, Native American name, huh? Daisy Dill, a flower and an herb. And so there was a lot of shame that my grandmother had because of our culture. And my grandmother had blue eyes. She was a very white-looking woman. And there might have even been a lot of more messed up background that I'm not even sure about. But she was related, and she went to the reunion every year, but no one from our family was allowed to go. And as a curious little girl, I always remembered that. And now, again, divine providence, it's all coming around, this bloodline, these Masons, and my family joined one of the new religions, Jehovah's Witnesses, but it was all engineered. And so I was meant to be a product of this engineering, but I broke my programming, and I'm here to help you break yours if you haven't yet.
You spoke earlier about Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard being involved with the previous attempt to create a moonchild that may or may not have been successful, but you see this as a replication, a new take on an old spin.
Yes.
Trying to create.
Very curious things happened in the last attempt in the bringing of the moonchild with Jack Parsons. That's when we started getting, that's when Roswell occurred. Mm-hmm. That's when the flying saucers started coming and all the abductions with the Greys started being told about. and Aleister Crowley died at the same time.
So what do you think they might actually be able to
And the first
gain?
nuclear explosion was put
Right,
off in the Trinity
I think
experiment.
that's
Yes.
difficult not to bring that into the context of that discussion as well with UFOs. But what do you think they would hope to gain by bringing forth the Moonchild? What do you think would be the end result, and what do you think would, you know what I mean, the purpose, the reason for doing this?
That is the biggest question, isn't it?
Lampe, Missouri was a place where I heard George Bush and Bill Clinton talking. From the point of view I had, they certainly were friends, and they didn't recognize any party lines between them. That's something for the, a smoke and mirrors illusion for the public. It's not something they adhere to because they had exactly the same agenda, and that was for bringing in this new world order.
Maybe some more. Maybe it was too much. Maybe some more final talk. We done all talk all today.
Transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
Flicker right of the television. All of this has a way of conditioning our eyes, conditioning our mind, and conditioning our emotions through the images that we see. And an image being worth a multiple amount of words, 1,000 or otherwise, is certainly the case. And through imagery, this has been the main way in which the solar controllers have sought to keep their thumb on humanity. And I feel like, need to create images of inclusion, images of upliftment, images of true synthesis based on love, goodwill, right human relations. There's no reason why we can't, don't we see more things on television about helping one another, about these good news stories?
Everybody get together, try to love one another right now.
A very interesting topic. I'm going to be quite frank. I don't 100%. Usually I'm about 92% in your Amen Choir with the topics that we discuss. This one I'm not quite to that degree yet. There's some things I've yet to digest and really fully bring this in. But the synchronicities, the complexities of this, and all this that you've tied together is really intriguing.
But of course, Freeman Fly started at the same time and studio as the well-known Alex Jones. So that's a little trivia there for you. But I believe after going through all of this with my beautiful audience and possibly triggering bad memories or just red pilling or sometimes even black pilling, you can look those terms up. But I'm going to light this Palo Santo, and I'm going to cleanse all our third eyes and remind us of the Buddhist perspective, which is we undertake the practice not to judge what our eyes have seen. So we try not to judge it, because when we judge it, then we get attached to it, and the attachments lead to egoic difficulties. But when you take this pain and these problems into meditation, then there are solutions. There's solutions in your own private little life, which I think is what we should all be working on, very much so. And then there's solutions also for the community. But just like if you're on a plane, you need the oxygen first. And I believe a lot of that oxygen is meditation and reaching up for something bigger than you that loves you more than you can imagine. And I want to thank all the beautiful people in the Rockfin chat. It was just us tonight. No other platform had the Occult Priestess, just Rockfin Premium. And so I want to thank our beautiful tippers, our supporters, for they are the wind beneath my wings, right? So Crystal K, James M, Nick Duchesne, and Ian Henderson. And happy birthday again to Ian Henderson. I want to say Wado and a shout out to Yona Aniwodi. And if you would like to see him, just go to my Rockfin channel and his links are down below. under both the recent live streams that we've done together. So if you have something to say and you believe it's providence, then get a hold of me. You can find all of my links, everything about me, at occultpriestess.com. And I would like for David Bowie to sing us out this evening, the original Major Tom. And again, this reminds me of John Glenn in my childhood and my bloodline and what I was put on this earth to do in this lifetime. Like Freeman said, they are stealing the imagination. So if you go to my blog, right, Occultist in the Corner, I've written extensively about this in Faye or Gray, the fight for the narrative. And that's about the space people versus the ancient old-fashioned forms that we used to know before pretenders took the throne. And so thank you for being here on this Saturday night. I wish you blessings, and I have prayed for you all. Thank you so much. Blessed be, and namaste. Occult Priestess for Rockfin, out.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on.